shedding some light on the clown's next caper. Here's your look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse, the Entertainment Earth 2023 exclusive Joker Infinite Frontier Black Light Edition. With an unhinged grin, the Joker grabs the spotlight. Based on his comic book look from the Infinite Frontier, the crazed clown features an exclusive eye-popping black light deco. Joker includes a knife accessory, an exclusive card stand, and a base with 2 battery-powered black lights. Also included is a collectible art card with the Joker illustration on the front and a certificate of authenticity on the back. I wonder what hijinks he's hiding in plain sight. We will find that out in a second. First, though, I'd like to thank the folks over at McFarlane Toys that did provide this sample of the Infinite Frontier Joker Blacklight Edition, which is an Entertainment Earth 2023 exclusive. Not only is it an exclusive to Entertainment Earth, but it's also limited to only 3,000 pieces. Joker, though, stands at about 7 inches in height, or the figure's 18 centimeters tall. Taking the clown's colors to the extreme, sliding over the one that we're about to have a look at and bringing the original Infinite Frontier Joker, which happens to be one of my all-time favorite Jokers we've gotten from McFarlane's team. The lankiness of the clown here just works so well for this figure. Now, of course, they are taking, the exact same mold and just swapping and inverting the colors. Not even in so much inverting the colors, because you can see instead of having the green vest, he has a blue vest. Instead of having now a pink jacket and pants, he now has green. For those not familiar with the Blacklight Edition figures, they have black light shining spotlights that then shine onto the plastic and illuminate them. We'll talk about that obviously more in a moment. First, the figure comes included with a podium standee, a little card standee that has the Joker's name printed across the front of it. Even if I don't end up using it for the Blacklight Edition of the Joker, I like this standee so much, I might find myself pillaging it and using it for another clown. The stand, of course, does hold the card. The card itself does have the Joker from the Blacklight Edition, which is also from the Infinite Frontier. Just love the look of that Joker. On the back, it doesn't give you necessarily a specific read-up to the character, more or less just to tell us that's a certificate of authenticity. It's out of a limited run of 3,000. The one that was provided by Todd's team just happens to be 0. I'm going to hold on to this. I don't tend to put these actually inside my trading card sheets. I usually put them back in the box if I'm not planning to use them, but I do think I might end up using that standee. It's too good to put away. The figure also comes included with his knife. Now, this is the same knife that we did get from the original Infinite Frontier Joker. I'm just going to grab that right now. Instead, of course, the traditional colors of what a knife would be, brown and silvers, they treat it instead to kind of more pinks and greens. That combination of colors actually does match then the kind of colors that he's going to have for a suit, although the green isn't as dark and vibrant of a green that he actually has on his actual suit. I do like the look of it, though. It certainly looks to be like something that the Joker would be carrying around with him. Also looking at it, too, it does look like it actually has the letter J to it. I'm sure that's just my own eyes playing tricks on me. Now, he does have the means to hold the knife, although he only has the means on this hand. The other hand, literally on the other hand, color carries over the same molding options as the original Joker in the sense that he has the missing now eyeball on the ends of his fingers. If those not familiar with the Infinite Frontier Joker, he does lose his eye, but don't worry, he ends up retrieving it. You can see the little peeper there in between his fingers. It's the one thing I do wish that they could have done a gold label edition version of this Joker just with the regular normal eyes. It's just, again, too good of a head sculpt, too good of a body sculpt, that I do wish that they could have maybe given us a version of this guy that didn't always have an eyeball in between his tiny little piggies. Speaking of piggies, were we speaking of piggies? Bringing back in the original Joker so you guys can see the differences between the two. Obviously, this Joker also does possess the little pupil there inside his fingers. And again, it's an okay look, I just wish that we could get ourselves a regular version of Joker that has both peepers still in the sockets of his eyes, or the sockets of his face. From a body standpoint, they're going to be exactly the same to one another. I'll tell you this, I'm not super crazy on the idea that he has a bright, vibrant green suit like this. I mean, it looks to be the color of like a highlighter. It's very bright, obviously lends to the idea that a black light's going to be shining across it. I like the more traditional colors of the purple myself, and even then, the traditional colors of the purple for this Infinite Frontier Joker were kind of more the lighter violets. If anything, I would have said maybe they could have gone, instead of green, maybe go with a really bright pink. Bright pink still would have lent to the idea of this being the Clown Prince of Crime. I don't know if I would say like green works as well for the character. It certainly is an eyesore when it comes to standing this guy on the shelf. I have probably now 3, maybe even 4 Infinite Frontiers, the Blacklight Edition figures. And all of them have a very bright vibrancy to them. We've looked at Scarecrow, we've looked at Batman from Zur&R, now Joker. Maybe I only have 3 of these, but I am really liking this line. I just don't know if I love the coloring of the green that they chose with here, Joker. Maybe if it worked for Riddler, I think Riddler could have done well with a brighter green like this. But when I think of Joker, for example, I tend to think of purples and pinks. And I think a bright pink probably would have worked really well. In fact, like the colors that he has for his gloves, I think would have lent really well to the idea of using this color for the majority of his body. The head sculpt is still good, though. I mean, everything now is basically jacked up when it comes to the colors. He has now a missing socket where his eye once was. Now he has a bright pink. He has some brighter pink there around the areas of his other eye, and a big pink smile going from ear to ear. I like the coloring, though, of the additional black that they've added. That's something that the original Joker didn't have. Again, changing up the concept of the colors just a little bit, adding a little bit of black does make the figure's head sculpt look a little bit different than just traditionally taking the regular Joker's face. Love that Joker, though. Now I'm sounding like the actual '89 film. Now, of course, the idea with this one is the idea that you're going to take a black light and going to shine across this. If you don't happen to have a black light, don't worry. Being that this is a black light edition, you get basically this entire contraption setup. The setup, if I'm just going to move aside the spotlights, you basically get yourself a very large display stand that has one peg right here that can place the Joker's feet on top of. And then on the sides, you have these basically supporting struts. These struts, by the way, just going to detach them right now, did, of course, involve some assembly when you get this first out of the packaging. If you don't look at this, I did want to draw your attention to the fact that on the bottoms it says A, and over here it says B. You do actually get corresponding matching letters, so you know exactly which way they're supposed to go. If you try to put them in this way, you can see that the pegs don't line up. So you match B to B, A to A. That's simple kindergarten education right there. You just plug these in place. And now you got, again, these little metal posts. These metal posts, by the way, were something also I added. These just pop in place into these provided holes. And then from there, you're going to get these spotlights. Now, the spotlights themselves already have the installed required batteries. These already are installed at the time that you buy this figure, so you don't have to worry about buying button cell batteries. They simply just switch on and off. On the back there is the switch. Right now it's on off. We turn it on, and not to blind anybody in the process. You got a fairly low-lit black light that you can then shine across the front of the figure's body. You can do the exact same thing on the other side as well. But these also not only can be held in hand, but the whole purpose of them obviously is the fact that you're going to take these metal posts and you just clip these. There's a little clip just on the back here. These clip onto the metal posts. There's one. And do the exact same on the other side. Plug that in. And now you can have the spotlights then shining on the Joker. You don't have to have them at the height that I have them right now. You can actually bring them a little bit further down if you want to. You can also twist them also a little bit too, depending on how you really want to have the figure displayed. Being that the spotlights, though, are facing this way, it probably would make some sense to have then the Joker facing this way. And then when you put him on top of that, once you just switch these on, like I said, that will illuminate. It doesn't illuminate very brightly. I will cut the lights in a second in the studio so you guys can see what it actually looks like in the dark. And then, of course, you're going to shine it on the other side as well. Longevity of these lights probably isn't going to be very long. Button cell batteries work okay, but you can't have them for long periods of time because the button cells eventually start to drain. I mean, even in reviews, I've noticed that button cell battery-powered things start to fade after a little bit of time. I don't know if they're really intended to hold the charge for very long. Obviously, I would have loved if these could have been plugged in some other means, not maybe like USB, for example, because that would also have increased the price of the figure. But again, it's one of those things where you probably aren't going to have this always on illumination, setting it where you're going to be shining on the Joker. Again, what you can also do, too, just going to take Joker off his display stand, just put it off to the side here as well. I happen to as well also have myself a little black light. So the black light, I'm going to shine this also across the Joker's face so you can see. There's a lot more illumination happening here than you really would be able to get the chance to see with just using these spotlights alone. You can see how brightly his eyes glow. It actually looks like he's come from hell. Love the way they've used the incorporation of the glowing eyes like this. I mean, look how bright the hair glows, for example. But I mean, just look how demonic the Joker's face looks like, with one of his eye at least, and a big smile down below. I would love if they had found a way to incorporate tiny little ha-ha-ha's somewhere across the figure's body. So when you shun it across, you get kind of surprised to see like little, well, right here, for example, I thought I was maybe onto something thinking that they had put in a little hidden message. I don't know if you can see it or not. There's what looks to be a letter E on the side of his lapel. I'm looking at everywhere else, and it doesn't seem to be the case that they've put in some sort of hidden messages. But I think that would have been a fun touch, especially for Joker. He's always hiding clues somewhere for Batman to find. The idea of actually putting that on the actual figure would have been a really nice touch. But just again, looking at how well those eyes illuminate. Obviously, we'll cut the lights now, and you guys can see what this looks like in the dark. Taking no time at all to cut the lights. Once again, I'm going to turn on my black light here so you can see how bright that shines across the front of Joker's face. Now, this can't be pulled off as successfully with those smaller little spotlights that come included with the figure, but if you happen to have yourself a black light, you can see how much better of a job this does illuminate. You're probably not going to be also having this displayed in the darkness, but it does give you at least the chance to see how bright his face actually glows. All across the front where those eye sockets would be, down below in his mouth. And again, missed opportunity, I feel, not to have included some sort of hidden message there on the front of the figure, but still the fact it glows as brightly as it does, it's a really nice touch on McFarlane's part. Back now to office lights. Let's get a closer look at the figure's articulation. If you already have the Infinite Frontier Joker, then you know by now what kind of articulation this guy does possess. The head rotates all the way around on a ball joint. It does look up this far, looks down, and moves also back and forth as well. The shoulders hinge out easily at 90 degrees. You're not going to have any problems necessarily there. You can take those arms and still rotate them all the way around, The figure does have a swivel cut at the bicep about 3/4 of the way up. The figure also possesses a double hinge on the elbow. Hands rotate also all the way around. Upper torso is on a ball joint. The legs easily split out on ratcheted joints. You can take those legs, yes, and move them forward. Sure, move them back. There's also a slight mild swivel at the top of the thigh. Double hinge on the knee is treated to this figure. Not to mention, again, he has the articulation in the ankles. If anything, I could say that the ankles are a tad bit loose. They do rock back and forth, sure. The figure also does have toe articulation, which is also always nice to see. But it's a shame, though, that the figure already has loose ankles. I mean, it's not as loose on this side, but it's definitely loose on this side. It's a good-looking Joker. It's always been a good-looking Joker. Just going to put this guy down right now and bring back in the original Infinite Frontier Joker. It's still one of my go-to favorite figures that McFarlane has done for the Clown Prince of Crime. Unfortunately, though, still, both the figures carry over the same mold problem in the fact that he always has to have the eyeball in his hand. A swappable head sculpt with both eyes would have been something I definitely welcome with a future release. And maybe then that figure could also not have an eyeball always in between his individual digit fingers. The figure does look good, although I don't know if I like the colors of the jarring green. If anything, I would have maybe gone the colors of the pink that he used for his gloves. I know, usually for Infinite Frontier, usually for the Black Light Edition figures, they tend to take the colors that are already there and they just jack them up a lot. I think if anything, maybe the colors of the pink would have worked better that he had for his gloves, and just carry that across for his jacket and his pants, and maybe done something a little bit different for his vest. But instead, what they did decide to do is they went to the total extreme by giving him a green jacket and green pants. I don't know if it works as well for Joker, but it certainly would stand out on a shelf. Decided not to use the spotlights as we wrap up the review here for the Infinite Frontier Black Light Edition Joker, because you don't necessarily need them. If space is something that you have limitations of, and you don't want to have all these setups set up with every single Black Light Edition character, you can easily just have the figure displayed on the shelf. I mean, there's nothing really to tell you that this is just a normal looking Joker. I mean, the color scheme alone will tell you that the Clown Prince of Crime is a little off. The colors could have been easily closer to purple, but I guess they did want to jack up the colors and make it so far the extreme that it does look like a completely different figure. This is always still one of my favorite Jokers that I have on my shelf, still continues to be. So even though I like the colors more of being the pink, the green still works okay for Joker. It's just not a color scheme I'm used to seeing with the Clown Prince of Crime. What do you guys think, though, of the Black Light Edition Joker from the Infinite Frontier? Is this one that you guys could see yourselves picking up? Or where do you put the Infinite Frontier Joker design when it comes to DC Multiverse figure Jokers? Pretty high on your list? Pretty low on your list? Let me know what you guys think of this particular mold. Big thank you once again to the folks over at McFarlane Toys that did provide this sample of the Infinite Frontier Joker Black Light Edition, which was an Entertainment Earth exclusive 2023, limited to only 3,000 pieces. If you guys did enjoy this video, I want to throw it a like. If you guys are loving the content you guys are seeing, love that we're looking at more DC Multiverse reviews. That's not stopping anytime soon. Actually, I got a whole stack of stuff that we're going to be looking at in upcoming reviews, making sure that you're not missing out on any of that by hitting that subscribe, by turning the bell notification on, and then the most important thing is that you're coming back here regularly. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.